everyone, my name is Brittany and today I'm going to be going over the 5 most common mistakes people do when baking. Let's get started. Number 1 is not reading the instructions all the way through or watching the instructional video all the way through. Save yourself some time and watch it and read it all the way through so that way when you're baking you don't have any surprises. Sometimes you have different mixing methods that go for a lot of things. A creamy method goes with a lot of things. Cakes, cupcakes, cookies, different things go with different methods. However, you can't just assume that you know how to make it. Sometimes that recipe may have a twist you've never seen before. So instead of having a disaster while baking, now you're ready. Number 2, not checking what temperature your stove should be at when it's time to actually bake. You gotta read those directions and find out what temperature you're supposed to preheat your oven to. Everything doesn't bake at 350 degrees. I know a lot of things do, but not everything. So make sure you're double checking those directions and making sure you're preheating to the right temperature. And that leads me into number 3. Number 3 is not letting your oven preheat to the full temperature before you start baking. You want to make sure that that temp has gone all the way up to what you've set it to before you put things in. You want your stuff to bake at the optimal temperature so they cook evenly and correctly. Otherwise, if you don't, you run the risk of not baking your stuff well, evenly, or all the way through. And number 4 is not using correct forms of measurement. This tablespoon and this tablespoon are not the same. I'm sorry, y'all, they're not the same. You cannot use them interchangeably. You have to have the correct measurements when you're baking. Baking is very precise. It's an exact science. There's some things you can vary on, but most things you cannot. Okay, so everybody go grab you a set of measuring cups and measuring spoons and it will save you a world of trouble. Our last mistake, number 5, is not lining the bottom of your baking pan with parchment paper. When you're baking a cake and you spread down, and a lot of people like to use that butter and flour and all that, and you go to flip it out, and then there's a big chunk missing out the bottom. I feel you guys. I understand the frustration. You can solve that by just taking a minute, taking a piece of parchment paper and cutting out a circle. Cutting out the circle that is the shape and width of your pan and putting that in the bottom, and then spraying everything with some pan spray and baking your cake. When you go to flip it out, it doesn't stick and you can pull the parchment paper right off. And if you'd like to see how I do this, give this video a thumbs up and I'll make a separate video. But just trust me, it saves you so much time in worrying about whether your cake is gonna flip out of the pan and if all of it is gonna be intact. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps to support my channel. And if you'd like to see more recipes like this, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.